with us on the sidelines, and he suspects this evening's game will revolve around defense.
It's going to be a defensive battle as well, Joe, on both sides. On the Maryland side, Will Schaller, best defender in the Big Ten, captain for that squad. He's a great player. On the offensive Ohio State side, Bobby Van Buren. We're excited to see this matchup. It's going to rely on the defensive side here. Who's going to win this game? Joe, back to you.
Mitchell, they say that the schemes are very, very similar between these two squads. We'll see how it plays out throughout the evening as the number 1 and number 2 seed square off in this Big Ten tournament. We get focused on the officials. The netminders in this matchup, both first team all Big Ten, and for very good reason, Mark. They do it in different ways, but they do it extremely well.
You could be looking at 2 first-team All-American goaltenders here. Big Tasty Caleb Fyock, close to 300 pounds. Logan McNaney, tons and tons of experience.
Officials, Peter Buchanan, Doug Donovan, Tyler Harriman. We're underway with Lacrosse on the Big Ten Network. This is the Big Ten Men's Lacrosse Tournament Championship game, and Jack McDonald comes up a running for the Terps. Headed towards the cage, this long stick midfielder had it checked out of his cross. It's a turnover back to Ohio State, and making his presence felt right off the jump, Cullen Brown, who's one of the best in caused turnovers in the nation.
Cullen Brown, 42 in white, took a wing on the faceoff, a little wrinkle, and he chased McDonald, who was the pole on the wing for the Maryland faceoff. Brown hunted him down, causes the turnover. He will hound you all over this field.
First offensive touch of the game belongs to the Buckeyes in white. On the move, Matthews fires and scores! Gannon Matthews, 42 seconds in.
They say defense wins championships. Both of these squads amongst the best, not only in the conference, but in the country. Look at McDonald. He knew he just had his lunch money taken by Cullen Brown. And Gannon Matthews, look at that lefty dodge, and he gets tattooed by Will Schaller from Maryland. He's getting some medical attention now on the sideline, but what a start for this Buckeye team.
Matthews, who posted 3 against Rutgers in the semifinal win, gets the Buckeyes on the board as they scrap for the next draw. Jack Oldman out there for Ohio State. A.J. Larkin off the wing, keeping the ball on the ground. And it belongs to the Buckeyes and Johnny Cool.
Once again, wing play. If it's not 42 Brown, it's 20 Johnny Cool, a member of the all-name team in college lacrosse with a huge ground ball. This is an advantage, I feel, for Maryland, but Ohio State so far getting the better at the faceoff dot.
Liam White off the split dodge from right to left. Throws back for Marinier from deep. He had it blocked. The Big Ten's leading goal scorer with the outstanding long-range drive had that one rejected, and it's clearing time for Burlace and the Terrapins. Just now 90 seconds old in this championship match. A strike from Matthews has put Ohio State on top.
That was an uncharacteristic take by Marinier, so early in the shot clock and so far out. He's got great range, but I do not think offensive coordinator Justin Tuma wants the Buckeyes taking a shot like that unless you have a clear lane like Matthews did.
Keegan attempting to go to the goal, forced back by Blake Island, one of the short stick defensive midfielders for the Buckeyes. Another there, the captain, Greg Langermeyer. Urksa on a speed dodge, gets to the interior, fires, and Fyock makes his first save on the night.
That's tasty, takes up a lot of that goal. I love the little fake by Urksa, a little hitch that got Foster chasing stick, got his hands free, but when you've got 297 pounds between the 6x6, it is not an easy task.
Ohio State looking to stack goals back-to-back. McKenna picked up by Jackson Canfield. Roll it back up top. McGee ready to go. Spins and fires to score! Dylan McGee.
Oh, high-oh to start this game. And maybe this is the recipe for Ohio State. Early offense 43, Dylan McGee. This is a team that gets it done by committee. Watch him put his foot in the dirt, spin around, and fire to the far post. Beautiful rollback to the strong hand. Great placement, and Ohio State is flying out of the gates.
McGee with points in 4 of his last 6. It's McGee and Matthews to strike swiftly for the Buckeyes. 2 better than second-seeded Maryland. Shea Keithler on the draw against Jack Oldman. It squirts loose. Oldman flicks that one towards the sideline. We get the whistle and stoppage here. Possession belongs to the Buckeyes. Nick Myers said, Maryland kicked our butts in the first meeting. We have to withstand the first 7 minutes. So far, so very good.
Yeah, and what a great coaching job by Nick Myers. Big Ten Coach of the Year, and I think a candidate for National Coach of the Year. This is a ball club that dropped their season opener to Utah, only to turn it around, go an 11-game win streak, and win a regular season championship.
Interior, Haas makes it 3 in a row, and the Buckeyes look every bit the top seed. Far, as we get you set for our advanced stat that's brought to you by DirecTV, and it has to do, Mark, with the outstanding defense of the Buckeyes in the semifinal.
This program has been built on defense, and 2025 is exceptional. We talked about the close D. We've talked about Big Tasty. Look at that ridiculous save from his backside in Thursday's semis. But they also have incredible short stick defensive midfielders. Blake Island, Greg Langermeyer. These are guys that are tough, physical. And they took that Utah loss very personally, and that really was the best thing that could have ever happened to them.
I'll say they ripped off 11 straight wins and then had that win streak ended by Maryland in Columbus. The Terps put a 13-8 beat down on the Buckeyes, who are looking for a revenge here in this Big Ten championship match.
I had the opportunity to watch Ohio State scrimmage North Carolina in the fall, and you don't take a ton from the fall, but when I watched, I was like, these guys are playing fast. They're aggressive, and they can score. So when they lost to Utah, I was like, that's crazy. And they've just really turned it on, and they're having a special season.
Liam White getting better and better with each game, this freshman. Spins into the alley. Here comes the early help as they'll keep it hot. Shot clock 40 seconds. A wraparound chance. They keep scoring in droves. It's Haas with his second.
We're not even 5 minutes into this game, and it's 4-0 Ohio State. I'm not sure anyone had that on their bingo card. Haas is a different element to this Ohio State attack. Fast, quick, athletic, and agile, and he just runs by Jack McDonald. That's not terrible defense, but the whip-around shot, if there is one piece of kryptonite to Logan McNaney, he tends to struggle with inverts, and that is a prime example.
In the semifinals against Penn State, Maryland surrendered just a couple of tallies in that 30 minutes. Little different story, as you can tell so far tonight in the first 5. Maryland looking for possession, a chance to stop the bleeding here, and they do come up with it. That's Jonah Carrier, the one of the 2 face-off men we expect to see quite often for John Tillman's Terps. As they balance up the offense, get it into the cross of Bryce Ford. Ford with Keegan and Whittier, normally the top midfield trio for the guys in the red jerseys.
You think about that semifinal win by Maryland over Penn State. The Nittany Lions outshot the Terps by 20, and they also had a 3-minute non-releasable foul and didn't take advantage of that. And, by the way, Logan McNaney was spectacular in that game, and so far tonight, he hasn't been in a position to save the Maryland defense bacon.
Maryland will bring it in off the end line with Urksa. Speed dodge here against Foster. Slams on the brakes to hang up his defender. Looks for the cutting Whittier. Whittier, no shooting room there. Urksa will try it again. Explodes topside. Tries to question mark. Foster says, no, you don't. Shot clock's at 17. Spanos picked up by Van Buren. Switch the point of attack out wide. Keegan on a throwback for Urksa. Shot clock's at 8. To the interior, spinning and firing. It is Fayok with a stop on Whittier.
That was a great look by Ford to Whittier, but he just played catch with Big Tasty, who is really seeing the ball well. What do I mean by that? The first low offering, he was on it, body and stick in position, and that time he didn't even flinch. Clean stop for the big man.
This is Gannon Matthews. Not in his customary 24. Mitchell Pelkey will have a report on that soon. Liam White brings it to the alley. Stalked there by the short stick defensive midfielder Jordy Holmes. O'Leary gets underneath, goes to the cage, he scores! Shane O'Leary. It's 5 unanswered for the Buckeyes.
Wow. On Michigan's home field, no less. The Buckeyes are celebrating. O'Leary, I've been impressed with him all year long, and that's just poor communication between the pole and the shorty. You got to press out on that. You got to talk to each other. And instead of jumping, Gordy Holmes just waves bye-bye to O'Leary. Little turnstile defense, turns the corner and slams it home right on the doorstep.
Mitchell Pelkey has more on Gannon Matthews and a wardrobe change.
We just took a look at Gannon Matthews with head athletic trainer Seth Faulkner. Had to switch jerseys because he got banged up by Will Schaller. The blood is on the jersey, so no more 24 for Gannon Matthews. He's now wearing 32, back in the game and back playing.
Mitch, we appreciate the input as Matthews continues to tend to that blood. Ohio State, just about halfway through this opening quarter, putting a bruise onto Maryland's outstanding defensive record. One of the top goals against averages in the country. Finally, McNaney draws a bead on that bid from McKenna. McNaney, who now holds the Maryland record for most saves all time.
Big first stop for number 1 in red, Logan McNaney. Think back to last year's national championship game. Notre Dame got out to a quick start after Maryland was up 1-0. They went on a little bit of a scoring run, and McNaney had no saves at halftime of that game. Good to see him get his first under the belt, maybe settle down a little bit.
Temperatures this Saturday night in Ann Arbor in the low 50s as Aiden Aiken goes to the cage and finds Urksa. Pinwheel it up top for Stovall. The inside, bounce shot, score! Daniel Kelly says it's in. The officials say no. Kelly says that was into the cage. The officials wash it off, and back comes Ohio State.
John Tillman has thrown the red challenge flag, and I don't think he even took time to look at the iPad. He just threw that thing.
Daniel Kelly, who was the driving force in Maryland's win over Penn State in the semifinals. As we'll go to a video review off this coach's challenge to see whether Kelly has his first of the night or not.
We saw on Thursday, Tasty made a save with his stick, and the ball was in his stick. Let's see. It's got, the whole ball has to be over the goal line. So this is a high bouncer.
The net ripples.
Goes underneath. That is a goal. I'm going to say that is a goal. To hit that far back in the net, that I think comfortably crosses the goal line, and that should be a score after review. Yeah, I think that's a goal. Tough to see when you're the goal official. Right there, it looks like, run it forward a little bit. Right there, I think it's under the crossbar, which means it probably went over the goal line, even though it bounced out of the goal. Oof. It's close, but I do think that is a goal for Daniel Kelly and the Maryland Terrapins.
Officials continue their review. Kelly had a career-high 5 against Penn State in the semifinals. Number 3 in all of the Big Ten in goals this season. Hoping that he has stemmed the tide here with Ohio State right off the outset grabbing an early 5-0 lead in this Big Ten championship game.
What I like about this review, Joe, is Peter Buchanan, the referee, along with Doug Donovan, a member of his crew, he has a headset on. So he's talking to somebody that's helping him through make this decision. It's just not the officials on their own, which we have seen this season.
The ball did cross the goal line. It is a goal. Please reset the game clock. The 7:25.
So they credit the tally to Kelly.
7:25 game clock.
It's the right call. It's the right call. And John Tillman, who was looking at iPads before iPads were cool in lacrosse, didn't even look at his device. Took it on the word of his player, took it on the word of his coaching staff, throws a challenge flag immediately, and it pays off. That is a gigantic tally for this Terp team.
The Terps faithful there in the stands finally can get to some bragging, some cheering, as their favorites fell behind into a deep hole right off the jump. Now here's a violation against Oldman that gives Maryland another possession. Eric Spanos jogging with it at the midline, sharing the ball with Bryce Ford. Ford, Keegan, and Whittier, the top midfield. This is Matthew Keegan, who came to town from Binghamton. Whittier, who has markers in 3 of his last 4 against Ari Allen. Keegan pressured at stick's length by Van Buren. Spanos driving in. Whittier's inverted. A deliberate approach here, 6-on-6 for the Terps. Ford off the split. Send it back behind. Find the open Kelly. And that's vacuumed up by Caleb Fayad.
Tasty got his stick down. Kelly likes to reside on that wing, that left wing. They move him around. He puts a worm burner on Cage, and Tasty read it clean.
Matthews wearing 32 now, not 24. That uniform change due to blood on that jersey. Liam White gets in. White, who had a goal and an assist in the win over Rutgers back on Thursday, picked up by Stamos.
I really like White, 22 in White, as a starter, party starter for this Ohio State offense. Quick first step, very explosive, really can get a defense moving.
Less than 6 minutes to go in the opening quarter. Haas has 2 of Ohio State's 5. Matthews gets the jump on Kohler, who shoves him below goal line extended. Shot clock's at 20 for the Buckeyes in the white jerseys. Haas maneuvers around the screen there that was being set by McKenna, all 6'6" of him. Skipping on through, White fires, he scores! Liam White!
I mentioned Liam White, a native of Illinois, being an initiator. Here he dons the finisher. Look at Haas. Again, that athleticism, that quickness gets him out of harm's way. And 22 in white, Liam White just punishes the upper 90. Look at the placement, the velocity. Beautiful shot. McNaney continuing to struggle between the pipes for the Terps.
Nick Myers, the scarlet and gray, and the faithful in the stands, appreciative of a 6-1 start. This team shoots better than 32% overall in the season and in the tournament. It feels like they're shooting 100 tonight. Just about can't miss.
Their confidence is sky high. After the loss to Maryland, they came back. Last regular season game was here against Michigan. Winner would have been #1 seed in this tournament. Ohio State was down 8-5 with about 5.5 minutes left to go, and they found the juice to score 5 unanswered to win 10-8, and they have been playing out lights out lacrosse ever since.
That graphic just showed you what a difference one game can make. How quickly Ohio State is to a half dozen compared to the initial battle between these two. McNaney locked on the post there, makes the stop, and A.J. Larkin will help on the clear. 20 seconds to advance across the midline now for Maryland.
This is typically not an offense that scores in bunches like this. So A, the fact that they're doing it, and B, doing it against Maryland, so impressive for Ohio State.
Successful clear there for Maryland. Maryland, one of the very best in the nation when it comes to clearing efficiency. Choosing Bryce Ford now Ford, who did not have a point against Penn State. A guy who's had 8 multi-point games this season. After 5 campaigns at Fairfield, coming to College Park and performing well. Ford on the handle. Cullen Brown peeking out on him. Swing it this way for Spanos. Long strider gets into the alley. Spanos will try it again. Off the swim move, here comes the double. Urksa keep it hot. Whittier fires, that whistler goes wide. Closest to the ball where and when it leaves the field on a shot. Maintained possession for Maryland.
Outstanding offense for Maryland. I love the ball movement. They're getting looks now on Fayok,
who has made 4 stops. That one ankle high. Caleb Fayok, spectacular numbers this season. A save percentage nearing 62. That's 3rd best in the country. Nick Myers was calling a timeout there on the sideline. The officials gave it to him in the nick of time. It's 6-1 Buckeyes.
Good timeout by Myers. By losing that ball on the clear, he had everybody running forward. Daniel Kelly was whistle ready for that play to be whistled back in. And had that happened, it would have been an uneven situation for the Ohio State defense. Nick Myers senses it, uses the timeout, wants to keep the mojo in the positive.
Both coaches counseling their troops. Ohio State, the top seed in this Big Ten tournament at 13-2. Maryland, 11-2, the number 2 seed in the tourney. These 2 teams meeting for what is now the 19th time, and one of those very memorable back in 2017 at the Big Ten Tournament Championship game.
It was an unbelievable game, an unbelievable talent on both sides. The big man, Colin Heacock, hits the game winner. That team, Matt Rambo, Isaiah Davis Allen, Tim Muller, went on to win the national championship, beating Ohio State in that one as well. It's just spicy things happen when these 2 teams tangle on the lacrosse field.
Nick Myers' squad has lost 7 straight to the Terps. I remember that night back in 2017, Connor Kelly went nuts for 5 goals in that game. And then you said, just a few weeks later, they're battling 2 Big Ten teams in the national championship game in Foxborough.
It's uncanny. The offense for Ohio State that year was gigantic. You think of Trey LeClaire and Johnny Pearson, just really big bodies. Well, guess what? They still have the big bodies, and they have a couple on the offensive end, but they're more on the defensive end. And nobody bigger than the big tasty Caleb Fayok between the pipes. But you also talk about Kyle Foster, 41 in white. He's 6'4". Cullen Brown, 42 in white, 6'3". The runt of the litter, if you will, is 44 in white. Bobby Van Buren, he's the best of the bunch.
Erks' jump shot sails high, taken back and backed up on the end line by Bryce Ford. An outstanding first 12 minutes for Ohio State. 6 goals on the board, 2 of them from Garrett Haas. Whittier attempting to carve back in for the Terrapins. Spanos hitches in, draws a double from Johnny Clue. Finagles away, still looking for a passing lane. His feed to the interior is deflected, right to the waiting Caleb Fayok gets Ohio State ball.
A lot of lacrosse left to be played, and Maryland is not playing poorly on the offensive end. They haven't been able to solve Caleb Fayok, but if Maryland wants to have a chance at a comeback, 7 in red, Eric Spanos is really going to have to step up, put on that Superman cape that Luke Weirman used to put on last year for this Terp team, and really kind of set the tone for this ball club.
Nick Myers, Mark, the head coach for Ohio State, said, you know, if we can get to double figures, if we can put some snow up on the roof, was his expression, we like our chances. They're awfully close already with 6 in the opening frame.
They were clicking, man. What, 4 goals in less than 5 minutes?
Matthews on the feed for O'Leary. O'Leary, plenty of shake off that wing. Matthews hitches. Staying with him there defensively, the short stick D-mid Eric Kohler for Maryland. Try it this way with McKenna. Tough matchup at that height. McKenna seeing over top of his defender Stamos. Slithers between 2, lost it there. Good defensive stand for Maryland on the takeaway at Schaller. Back the other way, the Big Ten Defender of the Year.
Good defense by Maryland. That's not McKenna's game. He's not a guy that's going to go right down State Street and score goals through traffic. He's a perimeter guy, a fringe guy that dodges and shoots from the wings.
Here in Ann Arbor, Michigan, the host Wolverines for this Big Ten men's lacrosse tournament, eliminated in the opening round. Ohio State moved past Rutgers. Maryland knocked off Penn State to arrive in this Saturday night showdown. Spanos not given any lane to the net there. Final minute of the opening quarter. Aiken off the roll dodge, matched up with Langermeyer, the captain, short stick defensive midfielder for the Buckeyes. Stobaugh, good catch there by Spanos. Shot clock's at 20 for the Terps. Angling in Jack Schultz, a member of the Big Ten All-Freshman team this season. Spanos has had it in his cross a lot. Swims to the inside, that feed. Good catch by Kelly, no shooting lanes there against Langermeyer on his way down. Inside, just snapped high by Urksa. This will belong to Ohio State.
Missed opportunity by Urksa. Beautiful look inside, soft hands, just couldn't get it past the Ohio State goaltender.
Last call of the opening quarter for Ohio State. Time ticking down to 8 seconds left. O'Leary gets away from Holmes, 2 seconds to go. As this quarter comes to an end, it is a memorable one for the top seed. The Ohio State Buckeyes a 6-1 leader after 15 minutes of play.
Wow, what a start.
A loss of 3 teeth, just a little banged up.
He's spitting chiclets. It's hockey season, and it's Big Ten tournament lacrosse season as well. Look at Matthews. Wow, that's a guy who's going to feel it in the morning.
Matthews, who had the hat trick in the semifinals Thursday. 9 goals in his last 8 outings overall. And earning the praise of his fellow Buckeyes and their head coach. Ohio State with possession here, Cullen Brown. So disruptive, 42 in the white. The Rutgers game on Thursday, Mark, was the first time all year he didn't have a caused turnover.
Yeah, and look, it's playing within themselves. This is an Ohio State team that knows who they are. They stick to their roles. They're playing with confidence that is sky high. And you heard Nick Myers. That first goal was gigantic from Gannon Matthews, and they didn't need any more juice, and they got it with him being banged up.
That's Mark Dixon. I'm Joe Beninati. You just seen and heard from Mitchell Pelkey, our sideline reporter. Lacrosse on the Big Ten Network, presented by DirecTV. This Big Ten Men's Lacrosse Tournament Championship game. A shout out of thanks to all the men and women in our technical crew, both here in Ann Arbor and back home in Chicago, as Liam White speeds towards the goal. Holmes takes the angle on him. White turns the corner. Shot clock's at 22. Long range drive, McNaney seeing that one well out of the cross of Ryan Donnery. Maryland's outstanding netminder, who was the most outstanding player back in the NCAA tournament of 2022. Able to clear for the Terps in the red jerseys.
McNaney has been a linchpin for this Maryland defense for a long, long time. First couple weeks of 2023 season, tears his ACL, misses that year. Brian Ruppel fills in, does a great job. McNaney really wasn't himself last year, but still put together a run to the national championship game. This year he's been fantastic, and it looks like he's settling in here tonight.
He's coming back off of off-season surgery. Ruppel really challenged him at the outset of the campaign, but Ruppel's played the grand total of only 9 minutes this season, and it's been another wonderful year for McNaney, his 6th in the program. On the move, Matthew Keegan, the feed, deflected down and finding it at his feet. It is Fayok for the Buckeyes.
That's the problem when you try to jam the crease on Ohio State. They're so big and long. That time Foster able to pick it off and thwart the last Maryland offensive push.
McGee brings it ahead for the Buckeyes. We dip a toe into this second quarter. All the scoring in this game back in the opening frame. Maryland's lone strike from Daniel Kelly. There are 5 different guys on the board for Ohio State. Turner fidgets to the inside. Here comes the help on the double. Rotate, Marinier fires and scores! Alex Marinier.
The Canadian, we talked about his range, and it is off ball, off a screen, and stepping downhill. Look at the placement. And Mick Myers continues to be pumped up for his Buckeyes. The step, the shot, so snappy, so fast, doesn't give McNaney a chance to set his feet and locate the rock.
No one has taken more shots in the Big Ten this season. Buckeyes fans know that. Alex Marinier gets himself back on the board. Goals in 14 of his 16 games this season. It's a 7-1 rout for the Buckeyes. Carrier comes up with a face-off win. Maryland needs to convert and convert soon.
And Maryland's a team that is not going to win one-on-one matchups. Spanos can do it. Urksa will destroy you if you're not ready on a restart. But they do it by snappy ball movement.
This one finds a home. The Terps will take him any way they can get him as Stovall celebrates.
Well, so much for my analysis of Maryland not being able to win a matchup. Stovall just gets downhill, and this is a very tall midfielder. And once he realizes 23 and white, Dante Bowen is on his back, that's when he lets it fly. So right there, he knows he's got his defender beat. Nothing he can do about it. Beautiful placement. And Stovall, after a really rough game against Johns Hopkins in the regular season finale, has really put together a solid Big Ten tournament.
Goals in back-to-back games this tournament with the tally against Penn State. He had just 1 assist in the last 5 games before the goal against Penn State. Nighttime skies here over Ann Arbor. Temperatures in the low 50s. Semi-final games were moved up earlier in the day back on Thursday with a threat of some lightning in the area, which really never came to pass. Stovall's marker makes it a 7-2 count for Ohio State.
And look at the second midfield. You produce and you get another opportunity. Maryland ran almost their first midfield exclusively against Hopkins until like the middle of the third quarter, late third quarter. And that was because they struggled. And this man, Jack Schultz, number 5 in red, was the best of the bunch. But it's not only great that Stovall scored that goal to give Maryland a little bit of momentum, but you're building more depth of scoring by having that second line producing.
Moving pick gives the ball back to Ohio State. We're just about 5 minutes into the second quarter. Marinier and Stovall trading markers. Gannon Matthews, 5 multi-goal games this season. On the exchange with Shane O'Leary. Matthews running against Kohler. Nick Myers alluding to the fact that Matthews will have some dental work to follow tonight's festivities. Liam White off the split. Quick change of direction. Wide open. Matthews on the bouncer. Stop. McNaney wants the outlet. He puts it right out there quickly. Stamos is on the run. Fast break Terps. Stamos feeds. Nice catch Kelly. Looking cross field. Spanos. They still have it. Jump shot. Score! Urksa turns the corner.
Huge goal for Maryland, and this really exemplifies the Terrapin offense. Smart and unselfish. That is a wide open look. Credit Jackson Canfield for getting his stick in a passing lane. Logan McNaney then just throws it to an area. Stamos hunts it down. Kelly handcuffed, but is able to corral that pass. And look at Spanos. He could have shot that ball, but he saw number 10 in red, front swinging, sneaking from the backside. Beautiful look, beautiful finish. Maryland with another goal.
25 tallies for Urksa, as you can tell, top of the screen. He has goals in all 14. Big face-off duties here. Ullman comes up with it on the ground ball for Ohio State. That's the same Jack Ullman who leads the Big Ten Conference in ground balls in 2025.
And that was just unfortunate for Ohio State, giving up that goal That could have been a 2-goal swing, because if Matthews was able to step into that thing and it didn't get deflected, it may have scored. So credit Oldman for winning that faceoff and kind of quelling the momentum momentarily for Maryland.
Griffin Turner from the top, inside look, score! Finding the wide open McKenna. Mark, the half-field execution for Ohio State's been breathtaking so far.
Oldman winning the faceoff leads to Turner, and Schaller just kind of caught in no man's land. Some ball watching for Maryland, and big Jack McKenna, the Jolly Green Giant of this offense, 6'6", 241 pounds. That's where he makes his living, on the wings and inside, and he finishes beautifully.
McKenna in his second season with the Buckeyes, a transfer from Fairfield to Nick Myers' program. He now has 112 goals, that's second most among active Big Ten players. Bryce Ford of Maryland's #1. This drive, Karams off of McNaney and off of the post. It'll be backed up to Ohio State.
They keep coming, and you have to love it. Ohio State not taking their foot off the gas, continuing to attack downhill, continuing to play at a very high octane level.
Dixie, in the first meeting, it was Maryland that went on an 8-1 run. Terps had a 9-3 lead at the half. Matthews fires. That's stabbed by McNaney.
Great save. Look, you know, Maryland has dominated this series, leading all-time 15-3. And not only have they beaten Ohio State on the field, but they win the mental game oftentimes. Let's not forget about the glove game back in 2023 that Ohio State was leading up until that incident and then just kind of lost their composure. So for Ohio State to come out this way and have this mentality, good on them.
Ohio State's last win over Maryland, April of 2018. The Terps were then #1 in the land. Remember the name Jack Jasinski?
The Alabama Shake.
He went 2-5 = 7 in that one. Whittier on the hesitation turns back. Whittier wrapped up there. Island through the wrap check. Whittier stayed with it. Shot clock's at 25. Spanos against Ari Allen. Here comes the help from Johnny Cool. Wouldn't it be nice to introduce yourself? Hi, I'm Johnny Cool.
Well, I introduced himself as Mark Cool, but nobody buys it.
Shot clock's at 10. Bring it on around. Spanos angling towards the cage. Put that one in. Spanos celebrating and substituting at the same time. It's a good goal for the Terps.
A little awkward, but the officials get together, confer, and now you have Ohio State looking at their device, deciding whether or not they are going to challenge. We mentioned Spanos having to step up. He shoots it. Nothing touches the goal mouth. It looks like he was not in the crease before the ball entered the goal, meaning it crossed the goal line. That's a good goal. Great body control from Eric Spanos. Not an easy thing when you're 6'5".
Spanos, unusually with no tallies in each of the last 2 outings, hurtling through the air there, and he knew it was in. Slicing the Ohio State lead to 4.
And the officials took a minute, but it's better to be late and right than early and wrong. So good discipline, good patience by the crew.
Shake Heathler, who's been sharing the face-off duties for Maryland with Jonah Carrier. They still dig for it, and coming up off the wing, as usual, Jack McDonald. John Tillman will tell you he wouldn't trade his wing guys for anyone. McDonald and Larkin.
They're terrific, Joe. You know, McDonald and Larkin are both incredibly athletic. I think McDonald's a little bit better of a defender. Larkin better in transition, better offensive stick, but both are vacuums off the turf.
Just showed you the face-off story is even. Ohio State, by virtue of the 6-1 opening quarter, has the 8-4 lead. Whittier feeds it. Egan moves it. Spanos off the hitch. Swim move on Langermeyer. Gets to the goal. Scores! Spanos and the Terps making their comeback.
Terp bench loves it. We said that Spanos was going to have to put on the Superman cape. Well, I think he went into the phone booth in between quarters and slipped it on. The bench loves it. Spanos has great body control for a man his size. Uses a little bit of a rocker step, high wing, gets underneath a defender, recognizes short stick matchup, and beats Caleb Fayad.
They list him at 6'5", 220. He has points in all 14 games for Maryland and its faithful, roaring their lungs out now here at the University of Michigan Lacrosse Stadium in Ann Arbor. Temperatures hovering in the high 40s, low 50s. No precipitation. All the heat and the action is on the field between two teams who've set the pace all season long in the Big Ten.
If you're Ohio State, take a breath. You've had success in your half-field 6-on-6 offense. Stay focused. You knew Maryland wasn't going to go away.
Turner will exchange for Marinier. Bring it on around, send it back behind the goal, and then come this way once more for Turner. Picked up by Stamos. Turner lets it fly, he scores! Griffin Turner.
Maryland incorporating a zone on this possession, and the communication just wasn't there. Stamos gets picked off, and no one recovers and helps to slide on number 1 in white, Griffin Turner. And he is in prime shooting real estate, a la Gannon Matthews a few minutes ago, but this time it doesn't get deflected, doesn't get knocked down, it finds the back of the cage.
Turner already with a 3-point night for himself on a goal and 2 assists. Spectacular colors in the sky over the grandstand here in Ann Arbor. 9-5 for Ohio State. And it doesn't look like Logan McNaney is seeing it nearly as well as he normally does.
No, he struggled so far here tonight. Made a couple saves in this quarter. And then let's face it, the first couple goals for Ohio State kind of came at him fast and furious. But, you know, McNaney got to be a little bit more consistent. He's going to have to steal a couple here to keep Maryland in this thing.
He's so patient, so good with his angles. He's a minimalist in there who reads so very well. You can tell he's off so far. Doesn't mean he has to stay that way. Matthews puts it back behind the goal. Ohio State attempting to get to double figures in tallies this trip, and we still have 5 and change to go in the first half. McKenna, Marinier, and then White from the top. Liam White, split dodge, roll dodge. Here comes McDonald to help. Shot clock's at 24. Turn the corner. Haas snuffed out. McNaney got the legs together in time there.
Yeah, good save by Logan McNaney. Haas wants to take an extra step to increase that angle, give him a better chance to stick that one.
Gravino, one of the short stick defensive midfielders for Maryland. They may show you 5 or 6 of them tonight. Able to clear. Gorno, another. Zach Gorno on the exchange for Matthew Keegan. John Tillman referred to Keegan as a late bloomer. A guy that coaches missed through the recruiting process, who went to Binghamton, a guy who decided he wanted to prove he could play at the highest level. And has he ever succeeded with Maryland this year?
Oh, guys that go to places like Binghamton, competing in the America East, they play and they get experience. They get game experience. They get leadership experience as a guy on the field, and it's turned out well. Nobody really minds the transfer portal much more efficiently than Maryland.
Whittier looking cross field. Here it is, that drive from Keegan, answered by Fayad. Ball down, they scramble. Man ball out of the pack, still loose. And it belongs to Ohio State.
Great job by the Buckeyes. A lot of man ball, not a ton of stick swinging, more position. And Cullen Brown, he is something special with the 70 inches of titanium.
McKenna on the move. Picked up by Peter Lake, another Big Ten all-freshman team member for Maryland. McGee settles with the ball in his cross, and just more than 3 minutes separating us from the first half intermission. Just tuning in with us this Saturday night, Ohio State bolted out to a 6-1 first quarter lead.
As impressive as the offense had been, it was Cullen Brown that set the tone, stripping McDonald on that first face-off win for the Terps.
Ben Mayer off the sweep here, looking to Marinier. Marinier isolating against Burlace. The feed to the interior, that's a tough road to the cage. McNaney comes driving out. There's a whistle, a hold call. It's going to give the ball back to Ohio State.
Yeah, it's
going
going
to reset of the 60 mark to 60 seconds.
It's going to be on Colin Burlace. When Haas was on the ground, he used Haas almost to lift himself up and held him, pinned him to the ground. Can't do that. Referees caught it. Possession stays with Ohio State.
Mayer waiting, spins off of Kohler and fires. That one pings into the deep slot area. Control for McGee, timeout Ohio State. Nick Myers, Buckeyes, nothing Big Ten seasons. Nick Myers, the Big Ten Coach of the Year, his Buckeyes, a 9-5 advantage getting late in this opening half. And Mark, as we were headed to break, there was an issue concerning the shot clock.
Yeah, Nick Myers took the timeout. We're going to see 40 seconds and counting on the shot clock. The step in, it hits McNaney, which is a shot clock reset. And it resets right there. 1-100, 2-100. So it should be at 58, but it's sitting at 32. That should have been a shot clock reset as it hit netminder Logan McNaney.
Buckeyes team that's won all 6 of its games away from Columbus this season. Only Ohio State, Army, and Cornell can say that, as McNaney snares and starts back for Maryland in counterpunch fashion with Zach Gorno. A little bit less than 2 minutes to operate in this first half. Spanos, the last 2 goals on the board for Maryland, joined by Stobaugh and Urksa in this second frame. Daniel Kelly was the lone goal getter for Maryland in the first. Bryce Ford ready to go. Picked up on the outside by Island. Keegan changed the point of attack. Spanos, a whirling dervish to the inside. Not able to get and turn the corner there on Foster. Ford will sweep. Island stays right there at his hip. Inside pass, Kelly kicked away. Fayak, rebound chased down by Urksa. 1:08 in the quarter. Shot clock back to 55. Ford, no angle, didn't pull the trigger. Improves his angle, forced his pass, and that is snared on the takeaway by Cullen Brown.
He's everywhere.
Brown, who had 6 different games this season with 3 or more caused turnovers. He's got 2 in the first half. Buckeyes have the ball. Shot clock's turned off. They could take the last possession if they choose.
Still remember the first time I saw Cullen Brown play. A couple years ago, Nike National All-Star Games in Howard County, Maryland, and he just stood out amongst great players in that graduating class of 2022. He was fantastic, and he's backed it up here at Ohio State.
One of those guys who really just jumps off the page, right?
Athletically, lacrosse-wise, he is the total package.
Liam White draining the game time down, under 10 seconds. White with a good speed accelerates in. Moving to the interior, McKenna. Matthews fires, he slings it wide at the horn, ending the opening 30 minutes. Ohio State a 9-5 leader.
They got out of the gates quick. Cullen Brown set the tone with that takeaway. Ohio State with 8 different guys finding their way on the goal scoring sheet. That makes them so hard to defend.
Sideline reporter Mitchell Pelkey piles on with more about Ohio State.
Dixie, you just said it. Buckeyes 9 total goals by 8 different goal scorers. Buckeyes came out dominating. I can feel the juice on the sideline. If the Terps want to get back in this ball game, they got to play a little bit safer.
One thing they were talking about prior to the game, Mitchell, was in order to beat Ohio State, you had to defend the knowns. You had to be opportunistic offensively. At least they turned that around in the second quarter, beat Caleb Fyock 4 times. It's a 4-goal deficit for the guys in red. Top 2 seeds squaring off in this championship game. Island going right to the cage. Fast break time here. Toss! Stopped by McNaney. A dazzling save one-on-one.
That's gigantic for Logan McNaney. We'll mark that one down, because if Maryland can chip away at this lead, instead of it being 10-5, he just kept this Buckeye offense at bay.
Terps get the offensive touch now as we kickstart this third quarter. Bryce Ford teaming up with Matthew Keegan and Zach Whittier. Whittier just subbing on the field now, first midfield unit for John Tillman and the Terrapins. Urksa, Kelly, and Spanos, the starting attack. Urksa worked over by Foster. Skips to the interior, surrounded by 3 Buckeyes. Spanos will cool his heels. Shot clock's at 25. Keegan on the perimeter against Island. Tough as nails, short stick defensive midfielder. Urksa for Whittier. Back to Braden Urksa with his defender hung up. Shot clock's at 7. Pass to the interior, missed the target, Daniel Kelly. And the Terps will just pitch it into the corner at the end of the shot clock.
Really nice defense by this Ohio State Buckeye team. Really didn't give Maryland any quality looks on the cage. Maryland, not a team really built to come from behind. They're capable, but right now Ohio State, they play smart. They can limit the mistakes. They're in a good spot.
It's a Buckeyes team that held 7 of its first 9 opponents to 10 goals or less. Keeping Maryland at 5 for the moment. O'Leary at the midline. Failure to advance. Ball goes to Maryland.
Great ride. John Tillman almost got run over, stepping in the way of some substitutions for Ohio State. Got to watch out. A lot of traffic coming in and out of that box, but this is where Maryland's got to capitalize, okay? You had a save by McNaney that should have been a goal for Ohio State, then a failure to advance. So a second chance opportunity. These are the situations where Maryland needs to take advantage.
Stovall clicked for Maryland's second goal on the night, 44 in the red. This is Aiden Aitken maneuvering in. John Tillman talking about how his second midfield has improved throughout the season. Schultz, who has points in 6 straight, off the sweep. Looking for Daniel Kelly, the son of a coach. Gets everybody in the right positions offensively, knows where everyone should be. Aitken turning. Hatchet work on the outside from Foster. Shot clock's at 20. Schultz. Feed it on around. Swing it this way. Stovall. Bad angle. Sent it wide. Shot clock remaining just 8 now once play resumes.
Let's see what Maryland does. Do they attack or do they just dump it into the corner?
Schultz wandering in, finds an Aiken bouncer. That's over top of Fyock as possession goes to Ohio State.
Decent try. Kind of the same as dumping into the corner, but at least they got an effort on goal. And Maryland, again, that snappy ball movement. Spanos can't do it all himself. I love how he made an impact on this game in the second quarter, but they're going to have other guys have to step up. And one thing Ohio State has not done this game so far, Joe, they have not lost track of number 45 in red, Daniel Kelly,
who went for a career-best 5 goals in the semifinal win Thursday over Penn State. .32 in the white is usually 24. Gannon Matthews, if you missed it during the opening half of play, Mitchell Pelkey, our sideline reporter, had an interview with Nick Myers, and Myers informed us of the damage that was inflicted upon Matthews early in the contest. Blood on the jersey, a loss of some teeth.
Man, I tell you, it's It's real out there. Every inch of the field being fought for, and this game means so much to both programs. Ohio State trying to win their first ever Big Ten tournament championship.
Maryland has done it 4 times. 10.5 to go in the third. Liam White has the ball in his cross. He scores! Down the alley to pay dirt.
The freshman has been terrific in this tournament. So impressive in the semifinal win over Rutgers. And look at that shot. Down the alley, left-handed, high to high. That is a beautiful offering by the Illinois native.
Liam White's first 9 goals this season were all singles in individual games. This is his first career 2-goal performance. Picked a good time for it. It's 10-5 Ohio State. To the face-off dot with Jack Oldman of the Buckeyes in white. Drawing opposite of Jonah Carrier, 28 in the red for Maryland. Off the wing, it comes up for Stamos. George Stamos had a couple of assists in one game against Penn State in the regular season. Gets the ground ball here in possession for Maryland.
I mean, we're really being treated to 2 elite rope units in the country when you talk about the shorties for Maryland and their poles, as well as that same outfit for the Ohio State Buckeyes. It's not only been very beneficial for them here in this regular season and Big Ten tournament season, but the NCAA is coming up. Really gigantic to have that kind of depth, that kind of talent.
Ari Allen there, 3 in the white, turning back Keegan. Ford on the jump shot. It's kicked away. Long rebound belongs to the Buckeyes, and running it is Dante Bowen, short stick defensive midfielder. No break there for Ohio State, so Dante will peel back out and run the 6-on-6.
Well, those are the kind of decisions that Ohio State's going to have to make. They're up by 5 goals, elite defense, elite goaltender. Don't push it when it's not there. Pull it out. The clock is your friend. Do not take your foot off the gas, but be smart. And I love the play by Bowen, 23 in white.
Closing in on the 6-minute mark of the third quarter. Ben Mayer backpedaling away. Kohler puts the pressure on him. Mayer with tallies in 3 of his last 4. Making the exchange with Turner. Ohio State slowing the tempo here. Shot clock down to 20. McNaney leaving the cage to put some pressure on Haas. Mayer looks inside. That'll bounce wide of the goal. Shot clock's at 10. McKenna powering in. He scores! Jack McKenna has his second of the day.
He lives around the goal. McKenna using the matchup behind the cage. And he just beats Jack McDonald. I mean, McDonald a couple times has been beaten on that front swing. You don't see that too often. The footwork just not there. Kind of stopped his feet from moving. Number 51 in red, and McKenna kept his going. And Ohio State pointing to the faithful. They can feel it here in Ann Arbor.
Multi-goal game for McKenna. 13 overall on the season. Tallies in 5 of the last 7. Going great guns for Ohio State. Maryland gets possession off the draw, and George Stamos will walk it across. The deficit for the Terps, they're down 6. A Maryland squad in its 100th season of play. They've made the NCAA tournament 21 straight times. A mark of 11-2. They'll be involved in the NCAA parade when the selections are made by tomorrow. Urksa on the go. He scores! A speed dodge for Braden Urksa.
Urksa is like a luxury sports car. He goes from 0 to 60 in no time flat. And that's Kyle Foster. He's no slouch defensively. Urksa just runs right at him, makes a subtle move. The pick throws Foster off, and I think Foster, 41 in white, thought he was going to get a little bit of help. He doesn't, because Urksa is so fast. Glides to the cage. T-E-R-P-S spells Terps, and they have cut the lead back to 5.
Turtle power displayed by Urksa, who prior to tonight, the junior had never had a multi-goal game against Ohio State. That story changes with Urksa's second this evening, nearing the midway mark of the third quarter. Look at McNaney, 40 yards from the goal to get the ground ball in possession for Maryland.
Logan McNaney's sneaky athletic. He will venture from that crease, and such a smart player. And Maryland right now just kind of losing their composure, not adjusting to the tenacity and the aggressiveness of Ohio State.
John Tillman on the Maryland sideline asking for the timeout. The officials comply. We have a chance to step away. We'll get you back to Ann Arbor, Michigan for more of the Big Ten Men's Lacrosse Tournament.
I can't believe you got pink eye, Ferris.
When you wake up with pink eye, you get your prescription fast, in like an hour, with Walmart Express Delivery. I wonder what else Walmart could deliver that fast.
Break Brothers.
Hey, bud. It's your time.
Your son is on a Krispy Kreme Kit Kat break.
Who's gonna do the chore?
Ohio State and Maryland, the only two left that have a chance to lay hold upon that before the evening ends. Mitchell Pelkey on the sideline. Maryland defensively has some communication to be doing.
That Ohio State is slipping picks. It just shows you the Buckeyes are making in-game changes and also trying to put number 51 on Maryland behind the net to bring him out of his ordinary position. Mid-game changes have been exciting. I think that's why Ohio State's leading in this game.
Mitchell, thanks for the knowledge. Buckeyes working against Maryland's defense here with Liam White, the freshman, a multi-goal scorer tonight. Sharing for Marinier. The big bopper for Ohio State has just one marker in this championship match. O'Leary away from a double team. Schaller always ball hawking for the Terps. Roll this pass a bit on top for Marinier to chase down. Shot clock at 24.
I like the point Mitch makes about Ohio State taking Jack McDonald, 51 in red, behind the cage. He's so good up top as a defender, not as comfortable behind, and Ohio State recognizing that.
Haas maneuvering in. Underneath, this one's wrapped off the post. Wicked release there from Ed Sheehan, subbing in at attack. On the go, Gravino fires, stopped by Faya.
That could have been a juice goal for the Terps had they hit it, but Caleb Fyock up to the task. Another terrific save. Looks like his 7th of the ball game.
Big Ten Specialist of the Year, Fyock doubled that against Rutgers on Thursday when he pocketed those 14 stops. There's a flag down. Extra man soon to come for Ohio State. McGee will take the ball for a walk. Flag down against Maryland. And McGee going nowhere with 40 seconds or thereabouts on the shot clock.
Clock is their friend. Ohio State whittling this thing down. This is almost like an end of quarter, end of half possession with that flag down. Go to the cage, try to make something happen.
McGee will, snapped it wide. The whistle comes, and the Terrapins will be man down.
I'm actually a little surprised McGee pulled the trigger that fast. I thought they would have worked the shot clock a little bit deeper, shot it around 20 seconds remaining, but no harm, no foul, as the flag down denotes the possession, and Ohio State will enjoy an extra man opportunity.
On the season and through the tournament now, Ohio State close to 38% effective man up, as Logan McNaney will direct his troops defensively from the cage for Maryland. Just a shade more than 5 minutes with which to work in this third quarter. It was a 9-5 advantage for Ohio State at the halftime break. They bolted out to a 6-1 first quarter lead. Maryland's man down. Look at that, 80%. They've only surrendered 4 man-down goals all season.
They're terrific.
Turner changes that with an outside blazer.
I was just about to say, Maryland was able to kill a 3-minute man-down situation on Thursday against Penn State. Griffin Turner, though, says we're not going to have that. Again, it's miscommunication. McDonald looks like he was passing Turner off to someone. No one steps to number 1. He takes a couple hops right down State Street and solves McNaney offside low. Great shot placement. Nick Myers loves what he has seen.
Doesn't that make the head coach and Griffin Turner feel good? Ohio State now clicking for a dozen, the most goals surrendered by Maryland this season. Griffin Turner had goals in 4 of the first 6 games for the Buckeyes this year. He had no goals in the last 9 prior to tonight. He's clicked for a pair. It's 12-6 Ohio State.
I just love the Ohio State depth of scoring. Again, they don't have a Trey LeClaire or a Logan Schuss. They don't have that goal scorer that just really hogs all the attention of the defense. They have got multiple guys that can beat you and make you pay in very different ways.
Would Marinier qualify as one of those?
I think so.
This drive sails wide. Alex Marinier, referred to by Nick Myers as an end-of-the-rainbow type shooter. After that ball moves around, it's not long in his cross, and then zoom, you get the pot of gold.
Yeah, we saw that in his tally that he had earlier in the game. That thing was in his less than a second.
Whittier for Maryland. Nice catch in traffic there for Urksa, who's a multi-goal scorer tonight. 4 minutes to go in the third. Whittier scores! Zach Whittier.
Great ball movement by Maryland, keeping it snappy and some really short passes in a tight window. And then Whittier is going to be able to come around. Look at that little give, the setup. And I like how Urksa, number 10 in red, drifted up the field. And he took Kyle Foster, number 41 in white, out of a sliding position. And Whittier's able to get topside, unfettered, and bounces it past Fayok.
Whittier's one of the best assist guys in all the Big Ten. He gets his 10th goal there. He has markers in 4 of the last 5. The deficit for the Terps is 5. Keithler comes up with the draw. Shea Keithler and Jonah Carrier this season in the footsteps of the All-American Luke Weirman. It was not a strong face-off performance in the Thursday semifinal win. Penn State freshman Reed Gills was outstanding.
Yeah, again, Penn State dominated the face-off. They took 20 more shots than Maryland. Had that 3-man man up, and the Terps still found a way to win that game. That's what this team does. They just find ways. And there's time left in this game. Maryland can come back. It's not their strong suit, but they can play.
Aiken fires wide of Fayok, backed up by Spanos. 3:21 left in the third quarter. A couple days ago, it was Jackson Canfield who got away unscathed after that 3-minute penalty in the fourth quarter against Penn State. Spanos had that shot partially blocked. Van Buren there.
There's definitely a lot of chatter. You know, was it worthy of 3 minutes?
Stovall on the go, he scores! Elijah Stovall.
Number 44 in red, the sophomore. He's really coming into his own in this tournament. I mentioned the shaky game against Hopkins where he, in essence, was kind of benched. Didn't see the field after he had a couple of turnovers. But we saw him with an alley dodge earlier with the left hand, and this is just a race to the cage, whistle ready. And John Tillman knows his guys are going to fight and they're still in this thing.
Coach has seen that a time or two before from Elijah Stobaugh, the Florida native. Third different 2-goal game on the season. Earlier ones against Delaware and Virginia. And the Terps come away with the draw. Carrier bounding away from the dot and angling in against Sean McToto. McToto, who subs in for Jack Oldman in face-off roles for Ohio State.
Yeah, Carrier's an interesting cat. He's a lot like Charlie Raffa, face-off man for the Maryland Terrapins back in the 2010-2011 time period. He was an outstanding offensive player who just was really good at facing off. Wow, I hope he doesn't hit my rental.
Spanos deflected away by Kyle Foster. That one's halfway to Detroit.
Yeah, but I mean, Carrier can play offense. He can score.
Urksa with a flash cut to the goal. Stop there. Ground ball, first time pickup by Van Buren. 3 times an all-conference defender, Bobby Van Buren. First team All-Big Ten this spring.
Well, he is definitely being thankful for Big Tasty on that one, because Braden Urksa, maybe no one better in the Big Ten and amongst the most elite in the country on those restarts, being whistle ready and being able to go again like a luxury sports car from 0 to 60 in no time.
He was flying. That was like a 4.40 right there. Shane O'Leary will cool his heels on the outside with Liam White. Tail end of this third quarter. Ohio State on top by 4. Buckeyes, 2 times in their program history, have been Big Ten tournament runners-up. They've never won it all. Marinier from deep.
Marinier 5 in white and Daniel Kelly 45 in red. When they get their feet set, identify the goal, it's typically lights out. Look at the wrist snap from Alex Marinier. Catches that ball. That is a thing of beauty. That is a snappy release. The worm burner gets past Logan McNaney. Ohio State back up by 5.
Goals in 10 of 11. Marinier now, since the year 2000, just 3 off the pace that was set by Trey LeClaire. Another guy who could bring the house down with an outside shot. Ohio State's Oldman comes up with the draw. Chance for the Buckeyes to put goals back to back. Trying to end this third quarter in style. Marinier with markers in 10 of his last 11.
You have to like how Ohio State has answers for these Maryland little mini runs. They're not letting Maryland stack 2, 3, 4 goals on top of each other. They're coming back with responses.
He's Mark Dixon. I'm Joe Beninati. Mitchell Pelkey is our sideline reporter. Lacrosse on the Big Ten Network. This men's championship game presented by DirecTV. Final 50 seconds of quarter 3. White's in no hurry. Sharing the rock with Garrett Haas. 11-second differential, shot clock, game clock. White's ready to go against Holmes. Popping out was Marinier. The pass was low. Shot clock's at 7. Marinier for Matthews. He'll flail that one wide of the cage as the shot clock was coming to its conclusion. McNaney with just 10 ticks left for Maryland. Long drive Burlace, knocked away with Spanos. That's where our third quarter will come to an end. 15 minutes to go. John Tillman and the Terrapins trail by 5. McKenna, all season long, has been dynamite from attacking behind the cage. We get the 4th coming your way after this.
We've been able to get those possessions. He's just really good at countering, so credit him. I think with us, we just got to get the ball, play fast, good spacing, good decisions, and try to put some more pressure on him.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
You got it. Thank you so much.
Guys, we appreciate it. John Tillman in his 15th season as the head coach at College Park. And During that time of the Big Ten tournament, he and the Terps have done extremely well.
No doubt. They have set the measuring stick for Big Ten men's lacrosse. And look, when you look at the post-collegiate these days with respect to the PLL, Team USA, it's mostly Maryland guys. So it's a testament to him and his coaching staff, the job they do.
Carrier getting a second chance. He gunned that one wide after Fayak beat him. Carrier winning the opening draw of the fourth quarter and going right to the goal.
Yeah, that's what we talked about with Jonah Carrier, the offensive prowess that he possesses. He has the capability to go to the cage and make plays.
Spanos waving an arm at Kyle Foster. Whittier measured by Ari Allen. Whittier forced back, does a quick 180 and picks up Keegan. Spanos, long strider. Island there on the switch. Short stick defensive midfielder. Maryland keeping the ball hot. Ford rolling back. Jumper. He scores! Bryce Ford.
Incredible rollback. The transfer from Fairfield, listed at 5'8". Feels like he plays a little bit bigger. Cruises down the alley, puts his foot in the turf, rolls back, sees the slide coming, recognizes that he has Fayak. Maryland continuing to fight. I love this rollback and the recognition right there that Fayak just maybe stepped out a step too far. Ford makes him pay.
Ford, who was huge in Maryland's win over Ohio State in Columbus, had 3 goals and an assist in that one. Gets himself on the board, brings Maryland within 4 with 13:50 to go in regulation. Off this scramble, Oldman comes out of the pack. Good kick there, fast break, score! The hat trick for Haas.
We've talked about it and talked about it and talked about it. Ohio State showing resilience and answering anytime Maryland challenges. Look at Oldman. I love the discipline. Wait, draw the slide. Haas hammers it home. Jack Oldman, sophomore out of Pickering, Ontario. Reminds me of another Ohio State face-off great, Jake Withers, who helped lead this Buckeye team to the 2017 National Championship game. Oldman making it happen at the dot for Ohio State.
Haas has his 4th hat trick of the season. Markers in 9 straight. Another guy who shoots better than 40% all campaign long. Carrier beats Oldman on the ensuing faceoff. Logan McNaney brings the ball ahead. Just tuning in with us, Ohio State leads by 5. The top-seeded Buckeyes against the 2nd-seeded Terrapins. Nice work there on the sideline from Keegan to tiptoe and play to Ford. When Maryland beat Ohio State in April, they put an end to a then 11-game win streak for Ohio State. The Buckeyes, 13 victories and counting this season.
And that was a game you thought was set up for success for Ohio State. 11-game win streak at home, nice crowd, and Maryland had other ideas.
Possession here to Ohio State. Those 13 wins, the most by a Division I program this season. The 2nd most for the Buckeyes since 1980. Of course, that 2017 team that lost the national title to Maryland won 16 times.
That was a special group. Referees, I think they're trying to find the ball. Nobody from Maryland was going to help out Ohio State, give them the ball for the quick restart. Our referee tonight, Peter Buchanan, goes and finds it. Great double team by Ohio State. They continue to turn up the pressure defensively.
Van Buren, the close defender, able to bring it across the midline and set up a 6-on-6 for the Buckeyes. 2.5 minutes into the 4th.
And again, Maryland with a win, I think they lock up the #1 seed in the NCAA tournament. Selection show tomorrow night, 9:30. We'll find out who is going to the big dance. And this Ohio State team, we talked about it at the top of the show, Joe, thought they were on that borderline for a home game or being on the road. And if this holds, I think Ohio State could be looking at a top 4 seed and a home game next weekend.
Maryland 4-0 this season against top 5 ranked teams. Trailing Ohio State by 5. Buckeyes looking for some added insurance now. Haas flex this one for Marinier. Rolling in, Matthews. Schaller looking for that takeaway check, the Big Ten Defender of the Year. Ever present for Maryland as the Buckeyes surrender the ball at the end of the shot clock.
Yeah, not bad. You know, you work it a little bit. You didn't get much. Good defense by Maryland. Just chuck it into a harmless spot on the field. Sub your guys off, set up your ride, and see what you come up with.
Ohio State team that was just 6-9 overall last year. They lost their last 4 Big Ten Conference games. They've turned that around in a significant way in 2025. They're 11 minutes potentially from their first ever Big Ten tournament title.
Boy, isn't it uncanny?
Stovall rejected by Fyock. One of the big reasons that Ohio State has been so tough to beat is the man they call Big Tasty between the pipes.
Great save. And again, you know, uncanny how Michigan, the last 2 years, winning the Big Ten Tournament Championship as the 4 seed. Here comes Spanos.
Unsettled. Driving in. Kohler, kick it inside. Spanos closes. Kick save, Fyock. Fyock, 9 straight games now in double-figure saves. He has a dozen.
Terrific save after he made the mistake. The giveaway at midfield, able to make up, atone for that error with a gigantic stop.
We need to step away. Nick Myers' squad receiving the outstanding net minding, scoring big at the other end, and doing their very best to be the latest team to pose for that photo opportunity. Could it happen in 10 minutes' time?
The DQ Sauced and Tossed Chicken Strip Basket comes in your choice of honey barbecue or new buffalo, layered with flavor from the top, bottom, and everywhere in between. Delicious from every angle. That's the Sauced and Tossed Chicken Strip Basket. Get yours now only at DQ.
Where does the Big Ten sports action never stop? The Big Ten Plus app. Thousands of non-televised live games and events. Next day on-demand game replays. Multi-view to watch up to 4 games at once. Download the Big Ten Plus app today.
Tickets are on sale now for the 2025 Big Ten Baseball Tournament, presented by IFS.AI.
It soars out of the ballpark.
This spring, the chase for the conference tournament title returns to Charles Schwab Field, Omaha, May 20th through the 25th.
Swing and a miss, he got him.
Don't miss the best teams in the Big Ten battling out in Nebraska.
That is crushed high and deep. It is gone.
Visit big10.org/baseball tickets now for ticket information.
Fox's longest-running manhunt isn't just a show. It's an American institution.
I'm John Walsh, host of America's Most Wanted.
Fox Mondays. From Hollywood heist to Heartland horror.
Please, where's my baby?
We're hunting down America's worst criminals.
With nearly 1,200 fugitives caught in 45 countries, the legacy continues.
You can make a difference.
America's Most Wanted, Mondays on Fox and anytime on Hulu.
Folks, coming up, the big show, delivering highlights, interviews, complete analysis. It's all coming up next on the Big Ten Network with Mike Hall in the host chair. Nice to see you and Mike reconvening in the pregame lead up to this championship game.
It was a lot of fun.
This has been a physical game, and for the most part, Ohio State's been driving that activity.
Yeah, they know to beat a team like Maryland, you've got to go into the den and be physical. Colin Brown set the tone, chasing down Jack McDonald earlier in the contest. That was the end of a quarter. Marinier and Larkin exchanging pleasantries, and there it is. Ohio State, this is a big night for them, looking to close the deal and win their first ever Big Ten tournament championship.
Conversely, Maryland in the red jerseys has 4 of them on the mantle. Urksa showing off that speed again. On the exchange. Ooh, rough run there for Keegan. Spanos on the hitch. Spanos rolls back, submarines one wide of the cage with 10 minutes to go in regulation. In lacrosse, on a missed shot closest to the ball where and when it leaves the field gets possession. The officials awarding that one to Maryland.
Yeah, great job by the trail official, giving it to the Terps. You can see the hustle. Every possession so critical now with just under 10 minutes to go in this contest.
Matthew Keegan trying to get underneath on Island, who wouldn't allow it. Ford slashing past Johnny Cool. He scores! Bryce Ford.
Ford is having an impact on this game, keeping Maryland within striking distance. The midfielder just goes down the alley, and once you go over the head, as you see number 20 in white, Johnny Cool, do, you're cooked. Maryland bench sees it. Ford with the dodge, the whiff by Cool, and he bounces it past Big Tasty.
I have to admit, Mark, when we had our pregame meetings and when we spoke with the coaches during the daytime, none of us is expecting 24 goals on the board between these two teams and these two great defenses.
I was thinking more of an 8-7, 9-8 kind of game. Yeah, Mitchell and I were talking about it before the game, like what do we talk about beforehand? And hey, it's going to be a defensive battle, which both these teams still possess outstanding defenses, but Ohio State really set this tempo, and they've taken Maryland out of their comfort zone a little bit by playing catch-up. You know, this is a Maryland team that likes to get a lead, milks the clock, manages the game, and they haven't been able to do it in this one.
McGee dancing inside will feed for Marinier. Marinier not able to sidestep Stamos just yet. Attempts to swim by him. Terps continuing to hedge and threaten a double team in Marinier's direction. Work it to Marinier from long range. That's easy pickings for McNaney.
Big stop for the Maryland netminder. Now the Terps. Can they stack goals? Can they go on a run?
Ford with a couple in the fourth quarter. Haas the lone strike for Ohio State. This was 6-1 Buckeyes after 15 minutes. Maryland able to right the ship and attempting to come back now.
It'll be interesting to see what offensive coordinator Mike Phipps does here. It looks like he's mixing and matching his midfield lines. Here's Ford. He's got the hot hand. Schultz and Aiken stepping onto the pitch. So you have two second midfielders and a first midfielder combining.
Aiden Aitken, another Florida native in the Maryland lineup. Cross field, spots the open man, driving in, fire! Made the save on Spanos, point blank.
Man, that's a lot of beef between Spanos and the back of the net.
Nick Myers says of Fayak, he's a free spirit, so much positive energy. The guys love to play for him. Aiken lets it fly. Fayak is ready once again.
He's so quick, great hands, identifies the ball. Take a look at this. Spanos, once again, he loves that little underneath, and Fayak does a great job, if it's even possible, of making himself bigger and hugging the pipe.
Mark, sure, he's happy-go-lucky, but we can tell that guy's a fierce competitor.
No doubt. No doubt. He wants to win. And look, he's been Big Tasty for a long, long time. You know, I've watched him play since he was a little kid on the club circuit, playing against him. He played in some tournaments with my son, Owen. Great young man, great family. His dad, a goalie coach, Rob, and then his brother, Al. Terrific career at Penn State.
Liam White on it for the Buckeyes in the white jerseys tonight. Top seeds at 13-2. Maryland second seeded 11-2. Gorno there defending on the perimeter. White picked up on the outside by Colin Burlace. One of my spies told me that Dad Brian had his birthday a couple days ago. Terps stiffen there defensively at just the right moment. Racing away, it's McDonald. Kicking into the alley. Gorno will settle. Zach, a former Division III All-American. former polar bear. I had a chance to catch up with him yesterday out of Bowdoin.
Now we're talking.
And he's, first question, so what class were you? And I'm like, oh, damn. Do I really have to tell you? Ford on his way to the goal. Bouncer ricochets off of Fayak in the post. Back up top.
He didn't make fun of your Chevy Chevette or whatever you drove back in the day.
Thank goodness. Keegan, move it quickly. Feed it up top and on around. The Terps trailing by 4. Spanos with a multi-goal game performance tonight. Rolls, jumps, severe angle, sent it wide.
And you got to give a ton of credit. I know I've been singing his praises all night, but number 42 in white, Cullen Brown, has erased Daniel Kelly, the terrific shooter. Number 45 in red, nothing tonight after 5 against Penn State.
Feed inside, quick stick from the long stick there. McDonald didn't go.
Yeah, McDonald stayed in the game to keep Gannon Matthews on defense, and he's going to find himself right on the doorstep, denied by Caleb Fayak.
Island able to relieve some of the pressure. Buckeyes bringing into that 6-on-6 formation with 5 minutes to go. So often Nick Myers says, hey, can we find a game-breaking play? Doesn't matter when it happens. It could have been in that first 5 minutes tonight where the game was broken open.
I just think that play by Matthews, after Brown with the strip, Matthews scores the goal, gets popped, splits his lip, loses teeth, nose is a little askew. That just really set the tone and fired these guys up.
And we could tell that from the intensity with which Coach Myers handled a sideline interview with Mitchell Pelkey tonight. Down the stretch we go, 4:25 remaining. Maryland has possession. They need 4. McNaney and the Terps have 20 seconds to advance across that midline. Schaller, long ways for Whittier. Successful clear for the Terrapins.
Nice handle by Whittier, almost got the better of him. Terps got to get to work. Down 4, 4 minutes left.
Stovall snakes away, fires from range. That's easy for Fayak.
That was a nasty shot. I mean, you're talking about a kid 6'5", hides the stick, and on a mere mortal, that one goes. But not on Big Tasty in the way he is seeing the ball here tonight.
John Tillman said we need middle of the field shots, can't settle for bad angles. That was from deep. The only reason I called it easy for a goaltender of Fayak's ability, but you're right, there was a severe elevation off the turf. Larkin trying the can opener check there on Ben Mayer. Maryland needs to force turnovers. Got to get the ball back. Ohio State, you would imagine, wants to run time off the game clock.
Yeah, this is where the shot clock comes into play. They want to use almost the full 80 seconds. You can see the coaching staff for the Buckeyes barking out instructions saying spread out. And now Maryland starting to double the ball.
McKenna playing keep away, runs through Burlace. McNaney is still in the goal crease. 15 seconds left on the shot clock. Langermeyer there. Greg Langermeyer, the short stick defensive midfielder, captain for the Buckeyes. There's a sign in the Ohio State locker room in Columbus. It says, "Be humble warriors." Nick Myers says Langermeyer is the model humble warrior for his squad as they try to get over the hump in this Big Ten tournament and be its champion for the first time in program history. 2:25 from the finish line.
Ohio State calls their short stick defensive midfield group the Sled Dogs. And the chief sled dog is Langermeyer.
Ford, who's had a hot hand in the second half, against Langermeyer. Daniel Kelly, a career best performance in the semis. Just 1 goal tonight. Whittier attacked there on the outside by Foster. Ford from the angle, bouncer, no. Rebound belongs to the Buckeyes, less than 2 minutes to play. Cullen Brown on the clearing effort. Langermeyer sees the open man, McKenna.
Ohio State starting to feel it. You got to credit Maryland. They played out of character, out of their comfort zone in this fourth quarter. They got shot opportunities. Big Tasty has just been up to the task.
Timeout taken by Coach Myers.
There you see it getting spicy. Maryland and Ohio State, they've got a tradition of some bad blood. Tensions run high, and right now Ohio State, they just got to stick to the script and close this thing out.
14-10 Ohio State, a 4-goal advantage, and Caleb Fyock, a first-team all-conference netminder, backing it all up. Big number 18 has been strong again.
In a conference that is just dotted with outstanding netminders, Caleb Fyock is the spectacular sophomore Big Ten Specialist of the Year, looking to make saves in just all different ways. And I love how he gets down low. He saves everything up top. He's so athletic. He's unorthodox because of his size, because he's so daggone big. He reminds you a little bit of a Sal Lacrosse from back in the day. The size of him, and if you think about another Ohio State goaltender, I remember Mike Abeles was a pretty big body that played for then Buckeye headman Joe Bresci. Caleb Fyock has been spectacular tonight. He's been a difference maker for Ohio State.
Graphic just showed you the save percentage numbers in Ann Arbor this weekend. Outstanding for Caleb Fyock. If you're just jumping on board with us, where have you been? Here's our game summary with the Buckeyes on top by 4, 95 seconds away from a Big Ten tournament title.
Yeah, there you see Maryland kind of got bum rushed out of the gate. The depth of scoring, the balance scoring for Ohio State, and then big tasty. I mean, the 18 saves is one thing. Saving close to 65% is ridiculous, and that is the piece of hardware that Ohio State hopes to take back to Columbus.
Fyock's career best is 19 saves. Going to the goal, no finish there for Matthews. It ricochets out, and Maryland controls.
Yeah, I don't really like that decision.
So often you're told not to take it.
Yeah, because of things like that. So now Ohio State just has to buck up.
Kohler to the cage, short stick defensive midfielder, lost it out of his cross, slams into Fyock, man ball drill, Ohio State comes up with it.
Yeah, more like man wall, running into Big Tasty.
60 seconds to go. On a Saturday night in Ann Arbor, long-range pot shot to the empty cage. Goes wide, the backup belongs to Ohio State. 55 seconds left, whistles blare out, timeout Maryland.
Terps calling the timeout. You can see some of the Maryland players chirping at the Ohio State defense. John Tillman pulling his troops back. Tensions are high. And this is round 2. There's a strong possibility we could see round 3, just like in 2017 in the NCAA. Michigan, you know, that loss for Utah is a very, very distant memory. When this ball club dominated Virginia in Columbus, people are like, is Ohio State good? Obviously, Virginia didn't have the season that they're accustomed to, but then when you knock off the defending national champion, two-time defending national champion Notre Dame Fighting Irish in Arlotta, that is the one where everybody really took notice.
Nick Myers preaching to his guys, stay the course, stick to the plan, don't be frustrated. They lost right away, like you mentioned, right out of the gate in the season home opener to Utah, gave up 19 goals, and it just inspired them to go on an amazing run. McKenna forced out of bounds. The ball belongs to Maryland. Less than a minute to play. Terps need a miraculous 4 to tie.
Will Schaller broke his stick, had to run off the field, but it's uncanny how Michigan's run to 2 straight tournament titles was fueled by knocking off Ohio State, and the script has been flipped this year.
Pass inside, deflected away from Urksa. He'll chase it down on the sideline, just a half a minute to go.
Yeah, really that win over Michigan here a couple of weeks ago seems to have really galvanized this Ohio State ball club.
Ford on the flip, Spanos close it. Spanos shakes loose and fires. Fyock watches it go wide, hustling to the sideline, 15.7 to go. Keegan, one last-ditch effort for 4. Feet inside, gets away from Holmes. That'll do it. For the first time in program history, the Big Ten tournament title belongs to Ohio State. And the ice bath feels wonderful.
It's been a long time coming for this Ohio State program. And there's the first to congratulate Nick Myers. Classy move by John Tillman. He's got 4 of these trophies back in College Park. This is numero uno for the Ohio State Buckeyes.
You can see the joy written on their faces, on the field and in the stands. The disappointment for Maryland, a Maryland team that went into Columbus and drilled Ohio State in April, falls this time, this Saturday night, to the 2025 Big Ten champs in Ohio State.
What a run. Is this the year of the Buckeye? The Ohio State football team winning a national championship. Caleb Fyock, Big Tasty, Bobby Van Buren. They are leading this Ohio State men's lacrosse team into the NCAA tournament. I expect the top 4 seed to be announced tomorrow night. And Ohio State looks like they are going to be home for the first round of the Big Dance.
A jubilant bunch having a whole lot of fun with their head coach. At the center of that happy huddle, Nick Myers gathers them all around. Ohio State a 14-10 victor. Mark, I know we talk about defense, winning championship titles such as this one, so important, but this is still an Ohio State offense that has 8 different guys in double-figure goals. It's not like they're just that one-trick pony that tries to beat you 7-6.
Absolutely. This is a group that is well-rounded. They've developed guys. This was the year when you look at all of the players that finally graduated out of college lacrosse, the 5th and 6th years, the COVID years, the transfer grads, this, that, and the other. Ohio State, 6-9 a year ago, 1-4 in conference, didn't qualify for the Big Ten tournament. Watch Michigan win the Big Ten tournament championship on their home field. That fueled them. They've developed their guys. This is a very solid lacrosse team.
Golden Buckeye, Creators Trophy, regular season title, Big Ten tournament title. Wow, they are checking off the goals.
And it hasn't been that way for the last couple of seasons for this Ohio State team. And for them to win this Big Ten tournament championship, to back up the Big Ten regular season championship, it is a special time for Ohio State lacrosse.
Ben Mayer, Blake Island, all having fun with the friends and family in the stands. As the handshake line proceeds, a show of respect and admiration for a job very well done.
This is what you love to see. And these guys very well could face off again in the NCAA tournament. Both are primed. You know, it'll be interesting to see where Maryland is placed coming into this game. Number 1 RPI, number 1 strength of schedule. Doesn't get much better than that. These metrics will not dip all that much. So you could be looking at 2 ball clubs from the Big Ten with top 4 seeds in the NCAA tournament.
So many of these young men know each other on a lacrosse field from their youth lacrosse days, through their high school days, and now into a top collegiate rank. So many friendly handshakes there. And through the course of time, these great athletes bump into each other so often, and the intensity level is so high, but when it's all said and done, there's a great show of sportsmanship.
A lot of these guys train together in the offseason. You know, Caleb Fyock and goalies around the country at Goalie Smith, run by the Gavazin brothers. You know,